Hi everyone, it's Cassie here in Merced, California today, where we are protesting this Valentine's Day, asking people to have a heart for the chickens and asking the district attorney of Merced, whose office we are outside of right now, if you can see behind me this building, asking the district attorney to prosecute Foster Farms, the largest chicken killing company in California, for animal cruelty and worker abuse. We would like to see Foster Farms being prosecuted, not our friends, DXC animal rescuers, Alicia Santurio and Alexandra Paul. Of course, they're willing to go on trial to elevate what's happening to animals at this Foster Farms slaughterhouse in Livingston, just a short drive from here, and to millions of chickens in Foster Farms facilities throughout the state. But the fact that animal rescuers who took sick birds to the vet are the ones on trial and not this company is so backwards. And so we're here today to support the right to rescue, and actually with activists painted as chickens, painted as bloody chickens, to call attention to the cruelty that's happening at Foster Farms and ask for that to be prosecuted so that that company can no longer commit these systemic abuses. So I see Andy already shared. Thank you so much. I didn't even ask yet, but thanks for the reminder. It would be really helpful if people can share this live stream so more folks join in, and then we're going to have speeches and smoke flares and all kinds of stuff. But let me turn it around here and give you a better view. Oh, also you can see Alicia Santurio right here, one of the defendants who's out here today taking photos of the action. It's a very windy day. Hopefully our banner does not blow away. But we are here in Merced, California. We already have local ABC here to film, to document the protest. And we have 6 activists who are currently dressed as chickens, well, painted as chickens. Really, they're not wearing very much, just some light colored clothing, but mostly body paint, white paint and red to represent blood, and wearing these chicken masks. Renee shared and tweeted, thank you so much. And Renee is saying, thank you, New York Times, because the New York Times actually covered the Foster Farms case this morning in an opinion piece from Farhad Manju, which was incredibly supportive. The title of it was rescuing farm animals from abuse should be legal. I think that's the exact words, but I might be slightly off, but essentially defending the right to rescue, just like we're out here today to do, and writing in possibly the most influential newspaper in the world, the New York Times, that it should be legal to rescue animals who are suffering, not just dogs who are overheating in hot cars, which is currently legal in 14 US states, but also chickens, pigs, cows, other animals who are suffering inside of factory farms and abusive, exploitative systems like that. So I'll get a little bit closer here and show you these activists. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I hope that you're able to spread the message of love for all species in some way today, and maybe that's just by sharing this live stream and sharing it with a friend or a family member and getting the word out. It's so windy that these signs are kind of blowing all over, but hopefully you can hear us okay with the mic that I'm using, even though it's windy out today. Michelle says, thank you from Livonia, Michigan. Thanks for watching, Michelle. Thanks everybody who is commenting and helping boost this live stream to more people. As a reminder, once again, if for anyone who just joined, we are outside of the Merced County District Attorney's office. We are about 2 hours drive from the East Bay. It was about a 2-hour drive for me this morning to get out here. So not too far from San Francisco, Berkeley, but a bit of a drive. And we came all the way out here today because Foster Farms is based in Livingston, and because our friends, Alicia, who's here today, and former Baywatch actress, Alexandra Paul, who's a DXC animal cruelty investigator, are both being charged with theft for rescuing 2 sick chickens, Ethan and Jax, from a Foster Farm slaughterhouse. Neil is saying sound is good. Thanks for letting me know, Neil. And if anybody has any feedback on the live stream, definitely let me know. Or if you have any questions, I can see the comments. I'll try to answer them. But we're out here today to support Alicia and Alexandra and Ethan and Jax, the 2 chickens they rescued, to help elevate their stories and to speak up for the millions of animals who are still suffering at Foster Farms facilities throughout the state, including the slaughterhouse just a 20-minute drive from here, who are losing their lives there today. And we will be going to the slaughterhouse after this, so any police who are watching this, that's fine. You can know our plan. After the action wraps up at the district attorney's office, we'll be heading to the slaughterhouse to bear witness and protest there. And you can see here that Alicia Santurio is now being interviewed.
Diana, can you mention one picture of this? Just set it on the people watching this interview don't know, but it's pretty chilly out here, and we have these people dressed as chickens. They're trying to portray what it's like to be a chicken. They're supposed to be slaughter and bride and this life of a foster farm's chicken, and they're standing there, they have basically no clothes on, they're freezing, so they're doing it because they care about those who it's supposed to care about animal rights and the right to rescue. So they're doing it very much.
Thank you so much to everybody who is joining the action online. Happy Valentine's Day. We're out here today with these heart-shaped right to rescue signs, using this holiday to speak up for all species and particularly chickens, and to say have a heart for chickens, and ask the district attorney of Merced County, California to prosecute Foster Farms, which is the largest chicken killing company in California. The Foster Farms Livingston Slaughterhouse nearby here kills over 300,000 chickens every single day. So over 1.5 million chickens in just a week.
In 2021, Direct Action Everywhere released video footage of what was happening on the killing floor inside the Foster Farms Slaughterhouse in Livingston, California, which is in Merced County, where we are today. Not only did it show the astonishing speed at which huge numbers of chickens are killed there every day, but it exposed that the chickens were experiencing terrifying and painful deaths that are not in line with the humane certification that Foster Farms proudly proclaims on its website and other promotional material. In fact, let me quote from the Foster Farms website. It says, "We believe in responsibility. All of our chicken farms are certified under rigorous American Humane Association standards, not because we have to, but because we care." One of the guarantees on the website for the chickens that Foster Farms breeds and kills is freedom from fear and distress. And yet the video from inside this facility shows that the slaughter line is moving at a rate of 140 shackles per minute. A shackle, if you don't know, is a stainless steel device that is used to hang a bird upside down by their feet. Not only is that position terrifying for any thinking, feeling animal, for a chicken it is especially frightening because their respiratory system is different from ours, and they literally cannot breathe properly when they're upside down. If you've ever had a moment when you were hit in the stomach and you just couldn't catch your breath for a few seconds, you know the terror of not being able to breathe. 140 birds per minute. This puts almost unbearable pressure on workers to move fast, and that inevitably results in very rough handling. They have split seconds to figure out if a bird's too sick or injured. And when a bird tries to save themselves and gets away for a moment, stressed workers are seen to grab them and throw them against the shackles. Working in such conditions, humans naturally go into survival mode. They try to protect their mental health as well as their physical safety. I get it, when you're a worker, it's dangerous to let yourself feel for the animals. But we can imagine the birds' terror as they try to escape. Can you picture them begging for their life? That's what they're doing. More than 300,000 chickens are killed every day at the Livingston facility. More than 300,000 a day. So hundreds of chickens are being killed every minute. How can this possibly be carried out in any way that is humane or anything less than horrifying and gruesome? We believe in responsibility, it says on the website. Does this sound responsible? The video clearly shows fear and distress. Some chickens are seen to get away, as I mentioned from the handlers briefly, and you don't have to understand much about other species to recognize their desperation as they pace and search for a way out. They know they are in grave danger, and their fear is overwhelming. Foster Farms makes other claims about corporate responsibility. For workers, its website proclaims, Foster Farms believes that human rights are a worldwide corporate responsibility and that all human beings are entitled to live and work with dignity. The site also proclaims, quote, it's safe to say we're all about safety. For us, safety extends from our employees to our customers to the planet. So let's just look briefly at those three categories: employees, customers, and the planet. First, employees. Well, let's remember that this slaughterhouse was shut down toward the beginning of the pandemic because of how many workers got sick with COVID. Merced County health officials temporarily closed the Livingston slaughterhouse after 358 employees tested positive for COVID-19, and 8 of them died. Back to the video, workers are shown standing for 4 hours straight with only a short break. They work in darkness. They stand on a floor slippery with blood. They risk having their own fingers cut off in the assembly line. And they have a split second in which they are supposed to assess each bird, see if they are live and appear fit for slaughter. The birds are not supposed to have signs of traumatic injury or contamination. This is supposed to be protection for the customers that are mentioned on the website. But how could anyone examine a chicken to make this judgment when the pressure is on you to just keep those shackles full? When a worker does see that a chicken would be considered condemned, that's the word they use when they're not supposed to slaughter the chicken, although of course all of the chickens are condemned. The worker will often throw that condemned chicken on the floor or into a garbage can, even if they're still alive. Sometimes they suffocate in the trash can under the weight of other bodies. Sometimes at the confusing pace workers must keep, the birds that have been determined to be condemned are actually placed in the shackles and slaughtered after all. So much for the safety of the customers of Foster Farms. As for the safety of our planet, the slaughterhouse's electrified bath, which is supposed to stun the birds to make them unconscious before they're killed, is a major waste of fresh water. A study by the Animal Legal Defense Fund shows that the slaughterhouse in Livingston uses more than 4 million gallons of water every day in the live shackle slaughter of chickens, accounting for about 60% of the entire city's water usage. That's the same as using about 2 billion gallons of water a year. The slaughterhouse uses some of this water in the electrified stun baths, which are supposed to render the birds unconscious but often do not, and some in scalding tanks, which are supposed to defeather the chickens, and often the chickens are still alive when they're put in those scalding tanks. Because this method of slaughter is so terrifying for chickens, they also often vomit and defecate on themselves in their fear. Can you imagine being that afraid? So water is also used to clean feces and vomit off of their body.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you everyone who's sharing.
No
it's so
one can
important
blame
that people
workers for
hear this
situation.
information because it's
Foster
not
Farms
normally
is
shared with the
responsible for
public,
this
and the district
unbelievably
attorney
toxic
isn't doing
work
anything about it.
environment.
So we need to put more
Simply
pressure on the
survival
Merced
to
DA.
harden your heart to the animal suffering and just desperately try to keep up with the pace at which you are expected to work. The company knows that people taking this job have few other opportunities and haven't been allowed a chance to develop other valuable work skills. And the company takes advantage of this. Workers have to keep their heads down, not complain, and just keep working really hard every day if they want to keep their jobs. Speaking of jobs, district attorneys are obligated, when given solid evidence of abusive work environment,
Thank you, Jeanne,
to investigate.
or Jean.
They are charged with investigating actions and practices that may be breaking laws. Well, it is against the law for a company to make false claims. Foster Farms says that their chickens won't experience fear and distress. But we have irrefutable evidence that they are experiencing fear and distress every day, every second. Foster Farms claims that it maintains working in conditions that allow their employees to be safe and work with dignity. And that is simply not true. Foster Farms claims that it is a steward of the planet, but when you're wasting massive amounts of fresh water in a state like California, that is clearly not true. District Attorney Silvera, we are simply requesting that you fulfill the obligations of your job. You need to investigate the conditions in which humans are working at the Livingston Slaughterhouse, and you need to investigate the animal cruelty that is taking place there right now, every day. When our friends Alicia and Alexander rescued 2 chickens from outside that facility in September 2021, they were not only saving them from death, they were saving them from a death that is excessively grisly, painful, and terrifying. They were saving them from an operation whose practices are not in compliance with corporate claims or with the law. It's about justice. This is all about justice. One struggle, one fight. One struggle, one fight.
Human freedom, animal rights.
Animals' lives.
Hi everyone, it's incredibly windy out here today, but I hope you could hear that amazing speak out from Tonya Moore talking about all the horrible things that happen at the Livingston Slaughterhouse for workers, including during the COVID pandemic when 8 workers at that facility died. For the environment, it is the biggest water consumer in the city of Livingston, using 60% of the water used in the entire city in this one slaughterhouse facility. And of course for the animals who are experiencing routine criminal animal cruelty and nothing's being done about it. And Tonya said it so well, but we're out here at the district attorney's office in Merced calling on Nicole Silvera to do her job as the district attorney when you've been presented with evidence of crimes happening, to prosecute those crimes, not just against individuals, but the people who actually have the power, which is the people at the top in this company, the Foster Farms company, which is exploiting the people who work there just like they're exploiting the chickens there. And so we're calling on her to investigate the company Foster Farms and prosecute for animal cruelty. We'd like to see that slaughterhouse change to something different, not be a horrible slaughterhouse right here in Merced County, and of course not for animal rescuers not to be prosecuted for doing the right thing. So some things that you can do to help are sharing this live stream, which I know many of you have already done. Thank you so much. And also following on Twitter. The Foster Farms Trial Twitter account is at Foster Farm Trial. So there's no S after the farm, even though Foster Farms has an S. But if you just type at Foster Farm Trial, because Foster Farms Trial with the S didn't fit, so we got Foster Farm Trial. You can follow along. You'll hear updates all the way through the trial, including whatever's happening with pretrial motions. There's a hearing next Tuesday here in Merced on pretrial motions about what evidence will be admitted at trial and other things like that. And the trial itself, March 7th, we'll be live tweeting as much as we can. Live tweeting as much as we can during the trial, so you can follow along there. And we're also putting out calls to action, ways that you can help on that account. So follow at Foster Farm Trial. And sign the petition at righttorescue.com. You see it here behind me on the banner and on the heart-shaped placards that folks are holding. We want you to go to righttorescue.com and sign that petition if you haven't already. And if you have, you can still go check out the site and you can read about what's happening in this case. You can find all the Right to Rescue cases on there, including the Foster Farms case and others. And if you click on each of them, you can find press hits about the cases. So if you click on the Foster Farms case, in addition to bios about Alicia and Alexandra and info about the case, you can find press hits about it, including the New York Times story that just came out this morning from opinion columnist Farhad Manjoo, which is incredibly supportive. I encourage everybody to go read that piece. It's very insightful. It goes into the cruelty that happens at Foster Farms. It talks about the strategy behind the Right to Rescue cases and talks about this case specifically and how we just might win. So check that out, and we're going to have a speak out here from Jacob, so I'm going to turn it back around. We're getting ready here. Please share the live stream, sign at righttorescue.com, ask your friends and family to sign too, and follow at Foster Farm Twitter. And if you have any questions in here, please let me know. You can comment them, and I will check them and do my best to answer them.
The mic's not up. Lewis? Yeah, he's recording.
And here's Jacob.
Free range, A grade, humane certified, California raised, hearts font with friendly looking swirls, hip but classy text that loves you, loves the consumer, that wants you as you step through supermarket aisles, trying to find sustenance for the body and mind, with perhaps vindicated guilt in this world of cruel design. It's nice packaging. There's a smiling woman painted on the plastic, approachable. There's happy chickens too, green grass under their feet. Oh, but these fake humans and hens are locked in lies under the Foster Farms logo. The real Foster Farms is a mass-scale torture factory farming blood from necks. Lives are locked in cages, screams shrink to meat-borne stock, hanging wing to wing, upside down, violently thrashing against the industrial machine. Then nothing. A life stolen, a life spent fighting against fate. There is not a single lick of grass or a single smile in this factory. There are only lives fighting against fates, fighting for their freedom. Humane Foster Farms calls themselves when even the humans of their hell are treated as disposable. 23.3 per minute. Each worker, 23.3 chickens must be hung every minute by each worker, running on the adrenaline of working fast or losing work. Work or lose means to live, always pushed to do more as Foster Farms fights for waivers to crank these human beings to faster machine-like labor, as Foster Farm churns out employees with injuries and COVID outbreaks, as replaceable to them as the quote-unquote unviable chickens that, once injured or dead before slaughter, writhe on floors dyed with screams, drown in blood pools of the now food, suffocate under their fellow before they finally shed the life they lived below hell. Don't lie, Foster Farms. If a chicken's heart beats through the electric water baths, if a heart drags itself on with a streak of blood in its tracks, their consciousness will bear witness to its end, to the blade, to the neck pulled off as haphazardly as kids rip erasers. You're one of the lucky ones, whatever that means, if your neck is only slit. What a world we live in. I may dress or paint myself like one of these chickens, but I cannot conceive suffering like one. So don't lie, Foster Farms. Don't you dare lie. Humane? If this is what humanity is made of, I don't want to be in it. But the thing is, it's not. Look at us. Some were saved from this fate due to brave humans. Humanity. Jax and Ethan were saved by the brave Alexandra Paul and Alicia Centurio, who are now set to go to trial, all for taking justice into their own hands. Foster Farms isn't humane, human. It pisses on everything humanity stands for. It wants to lock up the humans that reveal its inhumanity. Today is Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, a day of love, apparently. But love and lust for life cannot go hand in hand with the chokehold Foster Farms' bloodstained palms grip around the necks of the voiceless. When Foster Farms lies, when Foster Farms claims that their humane-washed fingers aren't knives, it can seem like love and violence are lookalikes. But in reality, the pink of today is the floor of this facility. In reality, the bud of a rose would be cut before blooming. In reality, the most real hearts on Valentine's Day are those of these activists, are those carved from the bodies of chickens. Somehow still, their lifeless bodies have more love than Foster Farms ever will, for the beauty chickens like Jax and Ethan wear on their wings. Foster Farms, you don't speak for humanity. You speak for everything humans aren't. Thank you, humans like Alexandra and Alicia. Your brave hearts have touched me, the hearts of all here, despite the thousands of lives taken as our strong voices creep through tears, despite thousands and hundreds of thousand voices, despite the thousands and hundreds of thousands more that will be taken. We will fight until every life is safe, until every individual feels the warmth of another. We will sing the screams of the unsung millions. We will sing until the coldness of death is eclipsed by the sun that never seen. Together, we will sing to liberation. And I will be the first to say, let this hell hear our song, and this hell will shiver. Thank you.
Woo! Woo! That was a fiery speak out from Jacob.
It's not fair!
Now we've got Susie doing some chants.
Why do they need it? Hell! Are we going to fight for it? Yes! Are we going to get it? Yes! Save, struggle, save, fight! Human freedom, animal rights! Save,
So one more time for anyone who joined late, we are out here in front of the Merced County District Attorney's office, about 2 hours drive away from SF Bay area. And folks have come out from all over this area, made the drive today to call on the district attorney to prosecute Foster Farms. And if you're outside of California, then the chances you've heard of Foster Farms are a bit lower, although they are sold outside of California, but they are based in Livingston, California here. And this is the largest poultry producer in California. So definitely at stores throughout the state, you will see chicken breasts, chicken body parts wrapped in plastic, labeled as Foster Farms. And I know that I did see them and bought them growing up, and I'm so glad to... And to be a part of exposing Foster Farms' cruelty to animals, to workers, to the environment that they pollute, and to ask the district attorney of Merced, which you can join me in doing by sharing this live stream, by tagging her, by contacting her, any of those things, and asking her to prosecute Foster Farms. And if you want to follow along on Twitter, we're using #FosterFarmsTrial to keep people updated about what's happening in Alicia and Alexandra's trial and all the momentum we're building up as we go into it. That account, if you want to follow along, is specifically at Foster Farm Trial without the S. But you can also search the #Foster Farms Trial for more information. And we're hoping to make this trial as big a deal as the Smithfield trial was. Of course, Smithfield is the largest pig killing company in the entire world, so very notorious and in the media regularly, and there was a lot of eyes paying attention to that trial. But we're hoping that we can do something similar with this trial here in Merced, California, which is happening March 7th, most likely through March 13th, the following Monday. And we're off to some good success. We're off to a good start because today New York Times columnist Farhad Manjoo covered the trial and talked about the cruelty at Foster Farms and even concluded that Alicia and Alexandra should be praised, not punished, for what they did. That people who expose this industry, activists who expose this industry, are the only reason that we see what's happening to animals behind closed doors. And for that reason alone, they deserve to be praised, not punished. It's a very powerful piece, very powerful defense of the right to rescue. And I encourage all of you to read it, to follow Farhad Manjoo, to read all of their incredible pieces for the New York Times, including PSAs about not talking to police. That's a great one that Farhad wrote recently, talking about why you shouldn't tell police anything because they will use it against you, and you should learn more about that and attend some Know Your Rights trainings. But the short version is you have the right to be silent and not speak to the police. So we are getting the chickens up on this stage again, and I think we're going to be lighting some smoke flares, so stay tuned. The protest is not over. And please share if you haven't yet, and if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them.
Animals have families! Just like us! Animals have friends! Just like us! One struggle, one fight! Human freedom, animal rights! Stand struggle, stand fight! Human freedom, animal rights! One struggle, one fight! Human freedom, animal rights! Stand struggle, stand fight! Human freedom, animal rights! It's not eggs! It's violence! It's not milk! It's violence! It's not chicken wings! It's violence! It's not bacon! It's violence! It's not milk! It's violence! It's not cheeseburger! It's violence! One struggle, one fight! Human freedom, animal rights!
And we already know that the Merced DA has heard about this protest because the press who was out here at the beginning of the action and who interviewed Alicia told me that they've already reached out to the Merced DA's office for comment and that they did not want to comment on the case. So they know it's happening, they know the press is covering it, and the press also reached out to Foster Farms for a comment as well. So we're getting the pressure on them with New York Times coverage today, as well as local coverage where Foster Farms is based here in Merced, and talking to members of the public as well.
Just like us! Animals have families! Just like us! Animals have friends! Just like us!
What are they protesting about? Fighting roosters or?
So we're protesting Foster Farms, which is here in Livingston, for animal cruelty and worker abuse. We're asking the DA to do something about that. What are your thoughts about that?
What is it?
What are your thoughts about that?
I grow my own animals. I have about 800, so
800?
yes. I
That's
have
a
my
lot.
own eggs and my own chickens, my own dogs, my own everything. So.
But you don't eat the dogs, right?
Well, it's hypocrisy in every way. Why do they don't protest about the people that give license to endangered species? And like they kill the endangered species like the wolf, like the bear, and they give me license to hunt them. That's the one. These ones, one died, 1,000 come in. It's a things that we can bring them up, back. But do you think a wolf or a bear or a deer? That's
so you're worried. You're worried about.
They're never gonna win. It's money against just people.
But you seem like you care about animals, like wolves and other animals, right? Yeah.
But again, your mom eat chickens, their moms eat chickens. I understand to eat a chicken, they have to be 11 months. I know they grow in 2 months, they're ready to eat. They can eat into, hormones and ephedra and stuff like that to grow.
What do you think about that?
I think it's cruel. To that, it's bad because you're eating poison. That's bad. And also for the chickens. And the bones come crooked and stuff like that. I think that's cruelty because they forcing something they're not supposed to be. So it's another things. But again, I think the best thing is fight against things that really need to be fight for.
Well, it sounds like what's happening. It sounds like you don't like what's happening to the chickens. The chemicals they're being fed.
Eat it. It's hypocrisy. Your mom don't eat chickens.
My mom does, sadly.
Yeah, my mom, I do my own chickens, you know, and you know, they get killed like once and that's it. But again, chickens like outside, let's say pheasants, they shoot one, but he don't die right away because he's wounded.
I see.
That's cruelty.
So it's the
And that's
prolonged
dangerous.
death. It's the long death that bothers you. It's
That's
interesting
the thing
because
that they have to fight against that people, you know. First, and again, this is $1 against billions of dollars. It's never gonna happen. Never.
well, it's interesting because one of the things that our group has exposed at Foster Farms is just how long it takes the chickens to die and how many.
No, they right away.
No, there's a lot of violations that are happening.
No, yeah,
We've
I
seen
understand.
footage from inside
I
the slaughterhouse.
understand, yeah. No, I understand. You know, definitely if they, you know, like a one, that's it. One time they're gone, it's okay. But if they, see, yeah. So you know, it's like the people, you know, also like they don't eat milk or you know, it's a lot of controversy. But again, it's just the way it is. It's my daughters, they believe in that too. But they never gonna put me to change what I believe or what I.
Your daughter doesn't eat animals?
One of my daughters, two of my daughters, yeah. So you know,
Well, hey, don't you think that's a
No,
sign that some times are changing? If you know you eat animals, my mom eats animals, but your daughters don't, and I don't. So
well, let me tell you this: people they eat plants. Plants, what they do? They cut it. No, but again, plants, what they do to us? They give it to us oxygen. That's another criminal. So what we're gonna eat? You know, who give it to us? Who give it more life? The animals or plants?
But animals,
No,
humans
yeah,
are
that's
animals,
a-
right?
And also plants.
Don't
kill.
you think there's a difference between killing a human and killing like a flower or fruit
I don't
that
believe in
wants to be?
killing nothing. I believe in life. I believe in the right of everybody. If you're gonna do you know, something, do it the way it is. You know, 1 minute, die, and that's it, and make it bleed. But again, plants give it to us oxygen. When you cut it, they're suffering. You know, you cut them. They don't have water, no nothing, and you eat it. And that gives it to you more life than a chicken.
I mean, some plants want to be eaten. That's why they fruit and they create, you know, they seeds, they want to spread, they want to be eaten. But hey, I have one more question for you if you don't mind. So two activists who rescued 2 sick chickens from Foster Farms are facing a trial March 7th in this county. What are your thoughts about that? They rescued 2 sick chickens. Do you think they should go to jail, or do you think that was a good thing to do? What do you think?
You know, it's a nation of, you know, demanding, suing and all that. So I think they're going to fight with whatever they believe, both parties. Whatever is right for both of them is right for me. I don't going to disagree with what you agree, and you don't going to disagree with what I agree. You know what I mean? It's a very different, you know, you think that you think it's easy to change the world?
I don't think it's
No, you
easy.
think-
I think it's possible, and that's a really important thing to believe.
Now, every head in this world is a different world. You know what I mean? Your percentage of, you know, what you guys doing is probably a percentage what they believe of eating chickens. You know,
But I think the vast majority of people, when they see animals who are suffering, they want it to
I
stop.
love animals, believe me. If you see my animals, I feed them the best and I give you the best. But the thing is, it's hard to change the world. It's gonna change. It's gonna change in our future. But this future is not gonna be in 2-3 years. It's gonna be probably 50 years. Probably your grandkids gonna see it, or your great grandkids, but not yourself and myself.
Maybe. I think that's a great conversation to have, you know, to
Oh, no,
say,
I can-
how
I can
soon
take
can
on-
we change things, right?
No problem. Okay.
Thank you. What was
Good
your
luck
name?
and- my name is Eliborio Mezquita, and good luck in whatever you do. You know,
Thank you so much.
Okay, take care, guys. Have
All
fun.
right. All right, I'm going to wait to cross the street here, but we're moving back to our debrief location, and we will be heading to the Foster Farms Slaughterhouse next. It's a 20-minute drive, so I'm going to end the live stream. If anyone has any last questions, feel free to comment on here and let me know. I'm glad that the audio was okay and that people were able to hear, because it's quite windy out today. I know the chickens were shivering in their underclothes, but they're warming up now, and we're heading back to our debrief location. And yeah, it was a great way to wrap things up there as the smoke flares went off, and I noticed that person was filming just to ask them their thoughts. And not everyone you talk to, especially in more rural areas where there are a lot of farms and slaughterhouses. I mean, certainly some of those places, some of the people you talk to are, you know, very bothered by the pollutants, very bothered by the odor, or know people who worked at those places and were abused. So we definitely do hear from a lot of people who are on our side. But there are a lot of people like that fellow who feel like, oh, change isn't going to come that fast, or, you know, I still eat chicken and other people eat chicken, so things aren't going to change that fast. But actually 2 of that person's daughters don't eat animals anymore, and that's pretty cool to me that people are aware that times are changing, and if their biggest concern is that, oh, you're dreaming too big and it's going to take too long, that's not a very good counter argument, right? That just means we're up against a big challenge, but times are already changing, and we just need more people taking action to change them even faster. We don't need everyone. We don't change the world by having everyone on our side. That's not what's happened throughout history. There's always pushback, and in fact, the pushback gets stronger when you're on the right track and when you're succeeding. And we see that happening in Utah with the recent anti-animal rescue bill that was introduced, House Bill 114, following the acquittal of animal rescuers in the Smithfield trial. And if we're successful here in California and in our animal rescue cases in Wisconsin and New York as well, then there is certainly going to be a lot of pushback sparked by those acquittals. So yeah, we're up against a lot, and you don't need to tell me, sir, that this is a challenging one. We know that for sure. But that's not a reason to give up. It's a reason to work even harder, to plug into communities, to find people, to take action together, to do creative, eye-catching demonstrations like the one today, to get people talking, and to keep telling the stories of rescued animals like Ethan and Jax, and to go to trial and to try your best to get attention on the issue, on what's happening to animals, and hopefully to win. So I'm going to wrap up the live stream here and go debrief. I see Michelle saying, yes, thanks for speaking up for special sentient beings. Thanks to everybody who's commented, supported, or commented and criticized. And hopefully you learned something from the speak outs and from just observing the action today. And I'll just ask one more time, please share the live stream if you haven't yet. Sign the petition at righttorescue.com. Check out the New York Times piece today from Farhad Manjoo about this case, and follow the Foster Farms Trial account on Twitter, which is at Foster Farm Trial, for more updates leading up to the trial. And then definitely around March 7th when the trial starts, please be on social media or out here in Merced in person with us if you can support in person, and pack the courtroom with us to show support for the right to rescue, or be online and spread the word online and help us get more New York Times articles and the Washington Post and people all throughout Merced seeing and talking about this, and maybe even change the world for more animals together. So Bernard says, you people are doing good work. Thank you for the video. Thanks, Bernard. And thank you, everybody. Talk to you all soon. Have a good rest of your day.